Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Alright, this video is an update. Waterculture African violets. And just to show you guys the progress, because the last video that I did, we had some buds opening, some buds starting to form on some of the African violets. And now we're even further along and some other ones are getting in on the mix. They want to get in on the action of blooming. I decided to start putting more closer to the grow lights, just so I could get more flowers and more buds, just so I can show you guys. I usually like to kind of keep them a little bit away so that they have more vegetative growth and put more energy into the leaves so that when I am ready to get them to bloom, they have lots of energy and solar panels to absorb all of the energy that they need. So instead, I decided, all right, I'm going to show you guys some blooming African violets in waterculture. I know some people were asking. So, just like last time, this one is semi-miniature, cool blue. There were like maybe 2 little blossoms open the last time. Since then, we've got a lot of beautiful semi-doubles of this beautiful periwinkle blue color in the cool blue semi-double. Cool blue semi-miniature. Sorry about that. Leaves are looking great. We still have some new leaves developing. Let me bring it up to the light here. As usual, the flowers are just still going. Even the first one that I had shown, I think it was 2 weeks ago, still has not faded. I believe it's this one on the top here. Still going strong. I see another spike coming up there on the bottom right, like kind of above where my thumb is. I don't know if you can see it. And we'll see how much longer this goes, but doing extremely, extremely well. Just a beautiful semi-dub. Now this one, as you can see, it is water changing time. The water is really low on the roots, but it's still wicking it up. All those roots at the top are getting a wonderful amount of oxygen, but it's time to dump, rinse, refertilize, and fill to about there so that they have that inch of roots to be exposed to the oxygen. This plant loves it. Ever since I transferred it, it never wilted. It never gave me a hard time. The flowers are just amazing. I love, love, love this plant. I just think it's so pretty. Yeah. Anyway, put them back. The other one that I showed last time, this one was the one that was originally in waterculture. I took it out, put it in moss. Then it stalled on me. Didn't grow another leaf, nothing. It just kind of hung out. So I said, all right, back to waterculture you go. And 2 weeks ago, I had a bunch of spikes starting to develop. And sure enough, they started to open. Look at that. Just so pretty. Another semi-double pink. This one originally was the first blooms that when I had first got the plant, it was like a blush, like very light pink. Now the pink is so much more vivid and beautiful. It's like a dark pink almost. And we got the second spike starting to open. We have another spike down there that's getting ready. I started to harvest some of the leaves just because I wanted some leaf insurance. I had one over there that I pulled. It was one over here that I pulled. But that's it. I'm not going to do any more. It didn't affect the blooms. They're still continuing along their way. It has plenty of food and plenty of light. And this guy does not need a water change yet. Typically what I do is when the water gets low, it's been a while. It's been a few weeks, I'd say. So then that's when I dump, clean, refresh. Sometimes, once in a while, I'll just refill with some very lightly fertilized water. But since it takes so long for the water to go down, I figured, let me just clean it out, make sure I get rid of the algae. I don't want any of that to start hindering the roots absorbing anything. So that's usually what I do. Anyway, that's that one. Now this one over here, you guys haven't seen in a while. This is the violet that I put. It was in waterculture. The roots were kind of stubby. Sorry, I keep moving the camera. Were kind of stubby. They didn't look nice and long and luxurious. So I ended up putting it in, I wrapped the roots in nothing but yarn. So this one is in yarn culture, yarn substrate, whatever you want to call it. And I kept it kind of off to the side. I didn't have it under the lights, and I said, all right, let me move this to the lights now because it's had enough time to adjust. And sure enough, it's got some spikes coming out. It's got some new leaves also, which is interesting. I would have thought that the leaves would have come out first, but it's just dying to bloom. And these leaves, even though they look limp, they're really not. Like, well, they're not as firm as I would like them to be. The smaller leaves are. This one is nice and firm. This one's a little bit limp. So I'm going to look into that and see what could be happening, which I wouldn't be surprised because the yarn, this was just an experiment, the yarn is wrapped so high that the base of that leaf, that some of these older leaves at least, are probably wet too much of the time, that maybe they're starting to rot. So what I'm going to end up doing is unwrapping the roots, probably tonight, and I'll pull off these leaves, cut them a little higher, propagate them in some water, and just allow the rest of the plant that's really nice and healthy and blooming to continue growing just in plain old water culture. Because now I have enough leaves to suspend it, and I'll just raise the water up if the roots aren't long enough. But yeah, the yarn was just an experiment to see if I can get the roots, first of all, to grow longer, and second of all, to see if it would even thrive. And apparently it has. But that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that that yarn is just keeping the base of the petioles of those larger leaves too wet, and they're going to start rotting if they haven't already. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But otherwise, the plant is okay. I mean, the new growth is nice and firm and beautiful dark green. The flowers are coming out. They seem nice and hydrated. They're not limp or anything like that. So I'll take care of this one as soon as I'm done with this video. Another one, actually, I'm going to show you this one next. This is another one that I saw a little bloom spike starting the last time, and you could see it's gotten a little bit bigger now. There's one bloom there. I'm not sure if there are any others. Let me see if I can find any. I don't see any at the moment. But this one retained all its old leaves. Sometimes, when you transfer them to water culture, the older leaves are not as resistant. No, the older leaves are not as resilient in holding on as the younger leaves. But these guys, there were no problems. Everything seems to have held up. Roots, same thing. I still have some time before I dump and refresh. But as soon as this one blooms, at least, when it peeks through and opens up, I'll probably show you guys that too, so you could just see how this one does in the full horticulture blooming. This one over here, I think I showed you guys last time too. It had just started to put out a single root. And I knew that it was going to be fine. I just, it had, I think, rot at the very bottom. I chopped it off. I suspended it over the water with just the very, very, very tip of the stem that was left, touching the water. I didn't want the petioles of these leaves to be submerged because, the whole rot thing, as we know from what seems to be happening here, which I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's looking dark right there, so I'm thinking that that's what that is. But anyway, this little pup, had one root, and I knew that it was going to grow more, so let's take a look. Ta-da! Look at that. Beautiful, delicious, healthy roots. The petioles where they meet the stem are healthy. I don't see any dark coloring for rot. The leaves are the roots are a beautiful whitish color. That's what I want to see. So this plant is on its way to amazing things. And I believe this one is a romance. So it's got variegated leaves, pink variegated, and the blossoms are also a pink, but they're single. They're about maybe a little lighter than this pink, but pink nonetheless, and a single pansy. And this one's going to do just fine. I'm very excited I knew it would, but I'm just excited that I could share it with you, and you've been on this journey with me because it's fun to watch and to see exactly what needs to happen in order to make them thrive. All right, last but not least, this is not an African violet, it's an Asian violet, also known as a Primulina. And here it is. This one was put into water culture a while back. Very, very thirsty plant. This plant is so thirsty that almost daily it drinks up like an inch of water. So let me just turn this to the side so you can see. The root mass is huge at the top, right? It's getting tons of oxygen, it doesn't go very long. So what ends up happening, as you can see here, this I filled up two or 3 days ago. I filled it all the way up to like the base of the plant, not quite touching where the leaves meet the stem, just right under it. And already in like 2 or 3 days, it's drank that much of the solution. So it's time. It's time to flush, and I may have to consider getting a larger vessel because it's just amazing how much this plant drinks. Aside from that, I wanted to show you that we have, excuse me, some blossoms forming. Look at that. There's one here. That one failed. It stalled and kind of just stopped developing. This one over here is developing nicely. Let me lift this up so you can see in the light. There we go. You can see there's one there. That one I just showed you, which is in there. There's also one in there. These flowers are just so pretty. That's the one that stalled on me. Yeah, and we got some new leaves growing. This one's been in water culture for quite some time, a few months. But I did not have it under lights. I was just concerned because I had never put Primulina in water culture, in full water culture like this. I've had them in leca beads or lava rock, and they seem to be okay. I didn't get a lot of progress that way, but when I fine-tuned my process, like I said in the last video, I really understood exactly what these plants need. And as soon as I did that, boom, boom, we got some spikes forming. So nice light, nice oxygen, nice solution, and a lot of love. And these plants do really well. These leaves are so big and they're so firm and hydrated. It's just really cool. Very interesting plant. When this one blooms, I'll show you the flowers. It's just amazing. They're beautiful. They're really high on spikes, really high above the leaves. And they're always purple, white, and a little yellowish, but nonetheless beautiful. So that's it. That is the update on the not just African violet water culture, but I guess you could say Gesneriad water culture. And yeah, I'll be sharing more as things develop because I have so many of these violets in water culture. I just don't have them all in the environment or in the place that they need to be to start blooming. I just have them leafing out and vegetating at the moment. But these guys in particular, I'm making sure that they are blooming so that you guys can see that it is not only possible, but beneficial in some ways, I believe, water culture for violets if you take care of your plants to have them bloom. So that is all for this one. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for subscribing if you have. If you haven't, please consider. Share with your friends, your family, anyone that loves plants and that loves to experiment, anyone that loves violets or just indoor house plants, coleus, anything like that. Even orchids. Ta-da! And yeah, I will see you in the next video.